My mom died. My mom died 2 days ago, or maybe it was three now. It's hard to tell with time zones and early morning phone calls from family waiting to go to bed. It came as a total surprise. She was diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's almost 20 years ago. We thought she had another 20 in her. Her mother lived into her 90s and only died this year. Grandma Jane and my mom, both gone in a year. As of writing, which was about a week ago, as of filming, I'm still not sure what happened. The political way of putting it, how one might normally eulogize, would be to say that my relationship with my mom was complicated. The honest thing to say is that as a child, she was my principal antagonist. The strength of her active antagonism waned as I entered adulthood, but her voice remained a live wire embedded under my skin, constantly shorting an open nerve to my core, taking up space and blending in. According to the books I've read, the wounds she left are of the kind that don't fully heal, but I have steadily decoupled that wire over time, disentangling it from my nervous system. The process has been painful, but productive. I could write a book about what I've learned in the last 6 years, about the realizations and the work that resulted, or the work I put in and the realizations that followed. It's an endless cycle with no definitive cause or effect, but one that I have thankfully found to be virtuous. Work I have dedicated myself to in spite of the dark agony it has constantly resurrected. My mom didn't just make me feel isolated throughout childhood. Her voice followed me as if it were my own and pushed that isolation into every crevice of adulthood. Unfortunately, the neglect I suffered left me without the ability to secrete or enjoy the effects of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, at least in doses or at the speed with which I wish I could. I often struggle to put to words the sensations this entire process has either put me through or revealed about my past, but there's a really important one that came to me yesterday. Imagine wrapping yourself in a nice thick blanket, heavy on your shoulders and soft against your neck. You know the kind, somehow thick yet light and pillowy soft. Pull it tight, snuggle in, but there's no warmth to be felt, no comfort, just hollow gray. You know it should feel warm because that's what everyone else talks about experiencing, cozy and welcoming, but there's no reward to be found for some reason. This has been one of the quietest, most insidious elements to impede my ability to connect deeply with people over the decades. I can and do love actively, but receiving is hard, not because I don't want it, but because I don't feel it. There are more obvious layers to it, believing myself to be unworthy of love and thus rejecting it before it has a chance. Anxieties around proximity and its harmful past results. These, among many others, have kept me from sitting with anyone long enough to feel really, truly connected. But my mom's death illuminates something different. I started grieving her 20 years ago when she was diagnosed with Parkinson's. I lived in Nice at the time. I was devastated and thought it was because the disease would prevent me from ever having the relationship with her I craved. It eventually dawned on me that I was mourning what I'd never had. But that was a long time in coming. I cut her out of my life 5 years ago. It was one of the hardest and best decisions I've ever made. Again, I could write a book about this. A newsletter does it no justice. Leaving the isolation of my youth, then fighting to see and break free of it for the last decade has been rocky, to say the least. The lingering effect of being gaslit from birth is that your grasp of reality is tenuous at best, something that requires diligent, delicate work to reconstruct. I have not always been my best self. I have only begun to understand who I am, how amazing I am, but also, perhaps more importantly, that I am not alone. I haven't told many of my friends about my mom's death yet. This is partially because I am already exhausted at the end of a long crunch period and dying for a vacation. And it's partially because I know how overwhelming the support will be. This is a really good thing. I texted a few people yesterday morning when I heard the news because I knew I needed to. Pulling back and isolating myself is an automatic response I've worked hard to rewire. I was immediately flooded by texts and calls and found myself at lunch with my friends Jess and Catherine, who brought me a couple of gifts to make me laugh. I have cried quite a lot over the last 36 hours, another skill that's taken years to regain. The tears I shed came every time I thought about how much my friends cared for me. knowing that if I send another text, it will mean another phone call, voice message, or immediate "oh my God" in response. I have too many to get through already, and I've barely started telling anyone, but don't hold back. I'll get through them all eventually. If there's one cycle I'm happy I've broken, it's that of isolation. Cracking the perpetual self-denial that only existed to fit the agenda of those who were tasked with and failed at equipping and setting me free. I was already feeling this before I got the news, seeing the momentum of all the hard work and sensing how free I have become, how much love I have cultivated in the space between. I was already talking in therapy about how I was ready to move into this next chapter and leave the past behind as much as I may be able. In that way, at least, I was ready. I will never have what was not given, yet I have built more than I could ever have hoped. The grief I feel today is an echo of what I've carried through my entire life, whether I knew it at the time or not, and it's steadily blending into a warmer melody of my own creation. It will always be there, but it does not need to define or overwhelm me anymore. I never wished any ill on my mom. I only wanted to escape from her and heal. I hope she finds the peace that eluded her in life, much as I am in search of it myself. And I hope that the silver linings I find today continue growing until they're the dominant feature in this grief-laden sky. Thanks to the family I've chosen and created, I know with certainty that this will come to pass. I wrote this a week ago, as I said at the beginning, when a couple days after I found out that my mom had died. And I posted it as a newsletter because I just needed to sit down and write. Like, I needed to process this a little bit. And I also knew that I needed to say something. I knew that I was going to need to put this out into the world at some point. And that's also why I'm making a vlog to share this, because there are a lot of people who have not heard, because worlds do not overlap. And just because you follow me on here does not mean that you read my newsletter or follow me on Instagram, the two places that were the easiest to share it in the moment. And also elicited quite a response, which is really, really good. And it definitely hit a nerve with a number of people in a good way, I think. I'm sure it hit a nerve in a bad way with some people. But I'm really grateful that I took the time to write it. And that's the first time I've read that since publishing it. And it's crazy to me actually how incomplete it is. Like, I think it really captured what I needed to say in the moment and was very, very full in the moment. But obviously a lot has happened in the last week. And I'm in San Diego right now. I'm actually in a co-working space in my dad's new apartment building because my dad moved to San Diego. And I've never said publicly that he divorced my mom. I'll double check with him that that's okay for me to say now. But now that she's dead, I don't know that it matters. So I'm here with family, which has been really good. And my trip to New York, I already had a trip planned to New York. I cut that short so I could come here and spend time with my family, support them, really spend time with my sister, especially, hoping to get more time with her before I leave. And it's been really good. But even the day after, like, I think before I wrote this, might have been after I wrote this, I woke up from a nap, and honestly, the world felt like a safer place. I've gotten a lot of really very nice messages. Like, after posting on Instagram and my newsletter, I was already somewhat overwhelmed by the response that I got from friends after just telling a few people. And obviously then they told other people, and it kind of spread, which is fine. It's not a secret. I'm not trying to hide it. I just was like, let's slow roll this because this is a little bit of an overwhelming moment. And then after that, the things went nuts because, like, I think all the posts went live as I landed in New York, basically. And it took me a minute to get through them all, but it was really good. And I went through all the comments on Instagram. There are like 350 comments on Instagram to get through, and that was really lovely. And I think by and large, people have just been really, really kind and really sweet. And I understand it can be a little bit confusing. Like, it's like, how do you respond to this? How do you talk to somebody who's had a death? And most people know, and I can link to the video before, my relationship with my mom was complicated and also difficult. And maybe it comes across as a little bit strange to hear me say that the world seems like a safer place, but it does in so many ways right now. And there's a lot to figure out. I've gotten back into writing. I was already working on a book, kind of off the books. I was working on writing something already, just kind of like a follow-up to Sea of the Unknown, the book about how I got to Paris, which is only partially about Paris. You know, it's very much about this, ongoing struggle to figure out who I am and where I'm going. And there's been so much that I've learned, and I've grown so much since I wrote that book. It's a good book. I'm proud of it. I actually reread it for the first time, maybe ever, this year. I was like, wow, I was actually really proud of myself for writing it. And I was like, I need to follow this up. So I started drafting. I've been kind of playing around with it. And I actually just wrote a couple chapters today for that. And my mom dying is acting as a weird catalyst for it. There's a lot to process. There's a lot to say. I don't know exactly how much to get into here. And I don't want to make this video terribly long. But I do want to communicate that I am okay. I'm actually doing really well. As weird as it may sound, like I said, I've been grieving my mom for 20 years. And I've been putting a lot of work in through therapy in the last 6 years. I had a moment where I thought maybe she was gonna die a year ago. That forced me into facing like the shame that came with feeling good about that. And now I'm pretty neutral about it. Like I feel like I'm walking into this pretty well equipped for it. I know there'll become moments, there'll be moments of sadness, there'll be moments of kind of heavy intensity, whatever, but those are also the moments that have been with me this entire time. Like I carry so much less weight and sadness in me today than I did even 6 months ago, especially 5 years ago or 10 years ago. If this had happened a year ago, it would have definitely sent me into a bit of a spiral for a minute. And now I'm in a place where I'm doing really well. So just to let you know that I'm doing well, I am about to go on an actual vacation here once I wrap up things in San Diego. I've got one more day in Paris when I go back, a couple of events. I got to get Cooper back and get ready to go on a little vacation where I'm just going to sleep, read books, hunt for Space Invaders, be by myself, do my thing. I'm just going to rest. But my time in New York was really good. I'm feeling very inspired for the next chapter. And kind of wrap this all back up into this moment, weirdly enough, like the world feels safer, freer, more open for me. It's like my dad and I were talking about it over lunch, and I don't remember what he said, but there, he'd already had this thought, and the realization kind of struck me that it's kind of like if there was somebody out there who had assaulted you at some point. There's somebody who threatened your safety, and then one day you found out they're gone, they're dead. Like the weight of knowing that person is out there, that looming threat could possibly be out there, is gone, is this strange, it is a relief. I wouldn't have used the word relief until today, but it's in there. And in the same way, I was already feeling like, I guess, though I was feeling a little bit of resentment because I was like, I'm like 98% of the way there. Like I've done all this work in therapy. I've worked so hard to free myself of this person and the damage that she did, and to become my own person, that it's happening at a great time in a selfish way where I'm like, I'm actually in a good place for it. But there was this tiny little bit of resentment that I had anything that she could give me by dying. Like I would have loved to have gotten to a place where it was a completely neutral experience, but that's out of my hands. And I'll just take it as it comes. And for those of you that do not understand this and like, how could your mother dying be a good thing? Again, you can check the video that I linked below, and I understand that it's something that a lot of people cannot relate to and don't understand remotely, but that's where we're at today. So there's a lot to think through. I am processing, I'm putting into writing more of this. I don't know how I'm gonna approach it necessarily in video, but YouTube is my core, this is my center, and I wanted to make sure to update you, to inform you, both to let you know what had happened, but also to let you know where I am, and to know that I'm taking care of myself. I'm well taken care of by my friends. My dad has been a wonderful host here. I'm doing my part to hopefully be a support to my family, and we're gonna get it all figured out. And I'm really, really looking forward to the next chapter. Oddly enough, that's exactly where I already was, right? I was already talking about that, but now there's something about it where I'm like, okay, yeah, I told some friends, it's kind of like when I went bankrupt. I ejected this anchor, this heavy, heavy weight, just at the same moment that I realized, like, wow, I'm actually making great strides on my own, financially, in business, whatever. And this is kind of like the emotional equivalent of that. So yeah. Thank you to my patrons, of course, for supporting me through these times. I can say my dad and my sister, who have been patrons of mine for like 8 or 9 years at this point, supportive this entire time, are my patron producers of the day, just because I think they're the right people for the right time. I know it's cheating to handpick people instead of randomizing it, but I think for this one it makes sense. And I'm really grateful for those of you that are watching and for my patrons for being along for this entire ride. It's pretty crazy how many of you have been along for so long. Many of you who are watching have also been, and I'm sure have seen me come a long ways through all of this. So I'm gonna check out. I'm not gonna be on the internet very much for the next couple of weeks is my goal. So if I don't respond to comments or messages or anything for a bit, I mean, Emily will be in the messages, I'm sure, but like, we'll just don't take it personally if I vanish for a bit. I'm gonna continue to just take care of myself, and I will see you bright and early on the other side of that vacation for a Paris in My Pocket video, more vlogs. Who knows? It'll be good. I might go take another nap now, but okay.